So after getting enough shit for not reading Bedlam, having the trade for going on probably 2 months now or so, or I probably got it right after it came out. So however long ago that was, I finally got around to reading it. This Bedlam by Nick Spencer. The artist is Riley Rossmo. Covers by Fraser Irving. They put even Fraser Irving on the title down here. Because he's a big name, I guess. And then colors by Jean-Paul Suka. But anyway, a very interesting story, especially anybody who has a background or training or even an interest in psychology, more specifically mental illness, more specifically schizophrenia. This is very interesting. The art style and the things they do with the colors and the art are pretty unique. I think it's a good portrayal of a schizophrenic mind. When things are a little bit like when he's going through his visions and imaginings and hallucinations and things like that, the pencils and stuff like that get a little loose, and things are a little bit more dense color-wise and more grounded when there's more, more of those moments. So, but Bedlam, real specifically, is just about a guy who was a serial killer under the persona Matter Red, and people think that Matter Red's dead. He's kind of this almost like a ghost in the town. He's this figment of people. Some people think that he was the devil himself. Some people believe that he's still alive. It appears he is. He goes, and which is funny because even though he was able to maybe fake his own death, because the guy is a genius, schizophrenic, but a genius. What's funny is that he goes by his real name now, and his real name is Fillmore Press. Which I think was kind of comical considering the subject of the book and that he is this killer, and I thought that was an obvious but clever name to make your protagonist or your anti-hero. I picked up the first issue of this when it came out. But this was a $10 trade, which I really appreciated. And after my discount, I think I got it on a day it was like 40% off, so I paid like just over $6 for this. But I probably paid just as much for the first issue. I probably paid about $4 for the first issue, or I don't remember if it was 3 or 4. But I have the first printing of the first issue, and I didn't pick up any more of them. I decided to trade weight, which I do a lot of my independent books. I do trade weighting. So when I first read the first issue, I thought that this guy, they call him the First, and I could be wrong. But I thought initially that he was actually part of Matter Red. I thought that maybe he was one of his schizophrenic imaginings of maybe his, what would be the right one for that, his superego, or the ego, keeping in check his compulsion to do evil and kill. And my assumption, too, was that these doctors they showed in the end, that when it went black and white, that this was obviously an operation that was going on within his sick mind, removing or attempting to remove the sociopath inside his head, and make him somebody who could be a functioning member of society. I still haven't determined if the doctor and these nurses and things like that is as far out there as they seem. I'm still assuming they're not real, but that's the beauty of this. There's a lot of questions that get answered from the first issue on through issue 6, but there's a lot of still things that are open right now. Like I said, I just love the wild randomness of some of the art. It gets a little bit out there, which I love, and then sometimes, it's a lot more just standard. Riley Rossmo's got a very sketchy, like a sketch type, a lot of lines, a lot of line work. The colors are great. They're almost forever changing. You know, you get there's an example of how things can be kind of more standard, dense, and then everything kind of loosens with the varying lucidity of the character Matter Red. But basically, this is Matter Red trying to be a functioning member of society, and the only way he can really determine there's some more the black and white with the use of red. The only way he can really make himself work in society, I think, or lend himself to any purpose, is to use his knowledge of serial killers and his expertise, as he calls it, to help the police department solve various homicides. And there's one homicide in particular that he decides to help with, is the one that appears to be the work of a serial killer. And so he teams up with the police, which is kind of funny because when he first comes in, he makes this big confession. Here's where I kind of realized that the first one, the superhero in the story, who's a terrible superhero, always showing up late, terrible superhero. But he's kind of a dick. But where was I saying? It's kind of funny because he makes this confession of this killing, and they think they got him, but then he recants it. It was just his way of getting downtown to speak to the police because he decides he wants to help. Now he's going under his persona of Fillmore Press. No one has an idea he's Matter Red. Matter Red is presumed to be dead. Some people don't even want to believe he ever existed. But he starts to do work, and he starts to get all these cases, and he starts going through them and sorting them out, and they think it's just him copping to all these murders. So all the detectives are getting drunk, and they're crossing off names off their case board, all these unsolved homicides, and they like got 20, 21, 22 unsolved homicides in this city of Bedlam, and they're crossing them off. And of course, he's just connecting everything together. So it's unique, and that's kind of where the first story arc is just him on this case, helping the police detectives out. They realize that it's not him. They realize that there's a connection that he has no involvement in. So they start to take him a little bit more seriously. And he has quite a unique way of solving the case, and something that really has me intrigued to read the next trade. So I'm still going to stick with trades on this. I can't wait for the next one to come out. I got a good price on this. I know the next trade will probably be only 5 issues, and it'll probably jump to $14.99, but that's okay. But Bedlam, I'm glad I finally got around to reading it, and I really enjoyed it. So Nick Spencer, Riley Rossmo's Bedlam, I give that a 5-star, and you should check it out if you haven't already. So, all right, kind of a scattered review, but I do appreciate you watching, and we'll get you next time.